Good morning, everybody. We are back at home. Into like 10 degrees, a little different than yesterday. So we're going to be looking at gold here first off, and then of course the indexes and oil per use. So yesterday, we've come out of a second test. I'm going to go to a higher time frame here in gold when we look at the daily chart. We're going to look at the hourly chart. We're going to break it down short, but we're basically inside of a long setup in gold that has targets up at 4,600. Not that I think that's completing anytime soon, but we have broken above, and again here today we're breaking above this previous daily high from November 11th, um, and this is actually needs to be adjusted a little bit. Uh, that level, I'm going to just mark up with a dotted orange line so we can see where it is on today's action. So that's that higher time frame setup. We spent, one day above it. This would be, if we close up here or anywhere higher, really the first day of an actual potential breakout. And my target on a shorter time frame basis would be 43, 47s. And I think that'll complete next week if we close today's level strong. So that's you know nice move from here. We've been selling off, kind of consolidating. We're breaking out of this downward trend line in slash wedge pattern. But the matter are we going to continue is basically my question. So came down to a retest overnight on Thursday. Yesterday overnight we held this midpoint halfway back, blew through targets. And then today we're gonna have one of two scenarios. The most bullish scenario would be holding the extension from the high of yesterday to the current high. We've already traded it and bounced. If that does not hold, I expect to pull back into the 42.47, which is an actionable level. So I'm gonna want to set an alert. That's also gonna be right around that daily breakout level that I marked, that orange line, which is 42.50. So they're within 3 points of one another. We'll go down to a 5 minute time frame down here in GC. That high from yesterday to this morning's high, we traded it, we've bounced, we've made a new high. We're just kind of backing and filling right now, but if we can continue with some strength, you got that upside target of 42.73.6, and then we'll just continue to use this anchor until it breaks. So if you're not in a trade right now, want to wait for that profit target to complete or a deeper pullback. Those would be your scenarios. But if we complete, we can want to draw that same anchor new high here in gold, which breaks us down to that 42.47. Now for oil was my best trade yesterday. Um, we really got moving. We're up at this, been talking about this for quite some time. We're just in this channel down. We're at the top of the channel here, so that is something to keep in mind. If we don't start holding and continuing here, we could very well just go back. I don't know if we're going to get to the bottom of the channel because it's so deep now, but bottom of the range near like 58, 57 would definitely be possible if we can't continue a breakout here. But yesterday, our first halfway back long, really clean completion all the way up into the 59.96s, and that put a lid on the day. And then we rotated down into, in the overnight session, this 50% retracement. You can just see the accumulation here. Buyers, 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 like to the tick now in the last couple hours. If we do break out of overnight highs, I expect to move immediately up into the 59.96, which is yesterday's profit target. But a larger continuation would be 60.27. I don't know if we're ready to do that here today, but if we are, then gold or oil is going to be something. If you don't trade it, just pay attention to these larger draws at least. At least pay attention to these larger draws until they become untechnical, because markets remain pretty technical on larger breakouts, like daily breakouts like this. So we're pushing up against that upper level of that channel. We're inside of a next traditional. That upside target is 60.27. There is a possibility we complete that today, but I think we could at least get back up to that overnight. If we can get through that overnight high, back up to that prior day high from 50.97 the $60 level here in those markets. If not, I kind of would expect us to just falter down into the full halfway back long again, which would be 59.15. So I'm going to set an alert at that 59.15 in case that ends up being something that we trade later, maybe next week. So that's what I got here for the commodity markets. And then oil, or no, ES and NQ. This lid in the Nasdaq has been this negative 100. Okay, it's just been putting a lid on this market. And we'll watch for that to maybe be resistance here again. It's 25,700. 25,700. We've come down to the midpoints in both of these markets, and right now they're holding. I'm short, but it's not looking hot so far. Um, we have traded earlier this week. You had, Monday's low to the high of Tuesday. That came into its 50% retracement support, and then that Tuesday low after we've made this new high, that is our morning support level right now. Okay, so we'll be aware of what those upside targets are: 25,780 and 25,836. So if you do start sweeping back above that negative 100 and get some continuation to the upside, that's probably where we are going. Um, and right now we have that liquidation break Perry talked about this morning, but there seems to be no continuation, unfortunately, in this whatsoever. But if we do lose that overnight low, I would expect moves down below the prior day low. Like if we can't, you'd have that prior day mid. If we lose that overnight low, I'd be looking at 25,550s, then 25,460s if we can really get moving lower. And then for the ES, bust this out. So we have this extension that goes back to Monday. That's the 24th of November. And we had traded this previously. We still have not completed profit targets. That profit target is this premium level that I have above us, that red dashed line. But we can go here and just leave that up for the time being. So we traded that, and then yesterday we kind of held this middle of the range. So it's like Monday's low to, once again, the high of the week. That's where our support came in from. And then that low to the current high. Once again, buyers stepped in, midpoints, 68, 61s. They're definitely in control at this point. And I guess I'm just going to have to see. I'm going to see what happens here once we open. If we can get a retest of these levels or maybe break through. But we have been seeing for the last few days, right around the open, some pretty hard reversals. And then it's just bid in the second half of the day. So if we do actually have a continuation off the open higher, that would be something different, and probably lead to those higher time frame targets. So if we get immediate bids off the open, continuation higher, we can just kind of be in a frame of expecting those higher targets, which is 6,900 here for the S&P 500. So that's what I have here as we go into the open. It is about 3 minutes to the open. Yep. You're just reversing that hard. Silly me. I'm just going to cut these positions so they're not. No, they're not. So I don't want to be stubborn. The other thing I will watch, I guess, if you do want to look for like a long off the opening, get rid of this extended session real quick. Let's see this traditional here. I'll draw this RTH traditional whenever we open 640. Or, I mean, the most aggressive series would be a potential extension, but that would be something else. So, the RTH series, this is what that looks like. The entry long may be that just next measured move. Actually, double down here and see, tighten and stop up. I do think Good morning, Ronix. Bobby. Welcome. All right, I'm gonna go right into an extension in NASDAQ, and I did this yesterday and did not work. But today's a new day. Today is a new day. We're gonna go right in and immediately start drawing extensions. Glad I decided to not be stupid and continue to hold my short. Yeah, we've been getting backing and filling every day. All right, we're at the negative 100, the traditional that traded at close. Oil pumping. I'm gonna move that. I'm gonna actually move that CL target up just in case we can break through this high in CL. We got 60.27, so that would be a nice move. Move my stop up in CL. My CL position is bigger than normal just because my stop can be tighter than normal. So I'm still risking the same monetary amount without there's pop through that overnight high. CL, big old fat candle off the open. Never been to Argentina, but my uncle has. You know what I'm saying? Do 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 do. All right, yes. I'm gonna go 77 quarter. That's that prior day high, and the 38 of the extension. I'm just deleting some other draws that are kind of irrelevant to, or just making my chart a little messy. They're still valid, but I don't want to see them right now. I'll redraw them when I need to. Alrighty. So ES order is in. Nasdaq is. I mean, there's enough volatility. Oil, give it to me. Look at that. Okay, let me just pull up an hourly chart in CL right now. Maybe we just get like a booster. Look at this. You know what they call this? Cup and handle. There's actually a higher time frame target in CL at 60.61. Not that I'm going to be stretching for that today, but Sunday night would not be surprised to see that thing completed. But this old cup and handle pattern, the old cup and handle. The technicals around daily breakouts, that's a real thing. And if you guys ever see something breaking out or breaking down on a daily chart, tell me. You know, be like, hey Jack, don't you see that we're breaking out of a daily wedge or whatever? There's so many people that trade these patterns on the higher time frame that they're just getting their orders and they're seeing that this is a wedge breakout on that higher time frame or channel breakout, whatever pattern you want to call it. There's always a bunch of different patterns, but when you've been studying fibs long enough, you start to believe that it's all just kind of created by fibs. But to each their own. To each their own. Through that prior day high immediately in CL. Big old ATR expansion trend bar combo on the 5-minute right at open. Gives me confidence. GC retesting the extension. Little sweep of that morning low. Definitely want to see this hold. I'm gonna just make my stops basically at 61. I was gonna say I'm gonna tighten up, but it's like a point away, so I'm not gonna be a dick for a tick. Nasdaq orders going in here soon. 38% retracement lines up that prior day high. That's going to be at 25,013. Needing another fun run on just a couple ticks. And we're boosting. We're boosting. We're on the rocket boosters. 1 minute extensions holding here in CL right now. Not that I would personally be trading them, but I am just observing them. Big old volume bar here in the last 5 minutes in gold, so that bottom should hold. Not necessarily, I guess, but need to get back above these fair value gaps in GC. The next, if we pull back this, so they're off right off this bar. There was like an immediate traditional. If you were looking, there's my fill. Yeah. I'm actually surprised that Nasdaq filled before the ES, so we just kind of came into those extensions. This is like I'm gonna go full target here, 518.16. No fill in ES. Not in my Wow, you're front run by like, I mean, I guess you would have had to round up to get that fill. No fill in ES on the 77 quarter. We traded 77.5. Nasdaq a little lower. We could still obviously come back in, but or we're just gonna do another one of those days where we'll just like open up and there's nobody buying up here. Fall right down into that next traditional. That wouldn't surprise me. There it is. Still missing here. I forgot this volatility. I done it a little wider with my stops in the air. So I'm gonna look up. But let's go GC. Five. See if this breakout is across the board. Gold, oil, risk on, risk on. News in 15 minutes, of course. Keep that in mind. Makes me actually want to take like this NASDAQ off just at a fairly high, just because I don't really want all these positions out, even though I think they could possibly, complete. But you think about what they could do as well. And we might stop below that low here, NASDAQ, and just take the potential shorter move, just because I don't want to be in both these positions immediately. On that, what are my bigger targets? And then I'm also going to just move my ES target up to like full 6,900. If it's going to go, I'm hoping it goes. I'm hoping it goes. Give me an easy way. New high in GC. See if we can continue that breakout. Like I said, these are when you break out on like these daily charts, we went actually right to that negative 23 of the extension. I did drag my targets up to higher levels, but that low, if we're going to continue this higher time frame breakout, we should just grind up here. Should grind up here. Got targets at 42.78, which is an old negative 61, and then now that that extension is completed, I'm going to delete the lower traditional for the time being, because this extension is what should technically be in play. A bigger breakout would be all the way up to 80, 42.87, but I'm not going to be stretching that aggressive here. Oh, Katie, what's up? Can I speak louder? Is my volume, guys, weak? Let me actually make sure that my microphone is pulling from the right microphone, because I just switched computers. Here we go. We're going to do a microphone test. Testing, you tell me which one it is. Microphone 1. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Microphone 2. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Microphone 3. Mic 2. Okay, mic 2 is my 3 microphones.
This one is tied to my webcam. I guess I need to do better product reviews. It's like the first one I tested is a $200 microphone that's about the size of a bottle of Gatorade. So this is microphone 2. And it's about the size of a bottle cap. Let's go gold. Now, once this extension completes, the same making high probably won't come in until later in the day, but it's going to be something that you can like trust with a limit. Save some microphones for the rest of us. I'm just hoarding. I'm cornering the microphone market. There's that breakout. I mean, let's take a look here. Look at this hourly chart here in GC. Nice, clean trend line. When you see like trend line breakouts, and you look, like I said, just keep this stuff in mind. So we're approaching this trend line top, but also on top of approaching the breakout, we become more technical, right? We become more technical, meaning we had a beautiful touch of a 50 and a completion like literally within 12 hours. When you see touches of halfway backs and completions quickly, that, that's eyes in the ball. People are trading that market. and that's a market you should gravitate to. And that's a part of the reason why I trade multiple markets is because fibs are always subjective, but they're going to work better when more people are trading that market, and more people are trading markets when they're breaking out on higher time frames. That's just how it works. One is louder, two is crisper. All right, see if I can pop this NASDAQ off. Like I said, if you only had a NASDAQ position, if I only had a NASDAQ position, I'd be willing to hold for higher targets. But because, like I said, I'm in NQ and ES, and that NASDAQ this morning stopped me out right away, I'm just basically looking for a smaller target. But if I was only in the NASDAQ, I'd be more comfortable holding through this position into the news. But I'm just not interested in holding basically what is going to be the same trade. It's going to have the same reaction. Whatever the ES does, the NQ is going to do too, and vice versa. So taking it off. All right, out on NASDAQ. Katie, where are you at in Mexico? Pushing through that high. I'm a little jealous. Where's Jeff too? Where's he living? Is he in Puerto Rico still? Back home in Laguna. Let's go gold. I'm gonna take gold off. Taking gold off. Got about 10 points there. I think somewhere around that. We're gonna run. I'll buy that same anchor new high in gold though. Yeah. That 38 is going to line up 42.67. It's the breakout. And I bet that Nasdaq, now that we've punched highs, if we do get a reversal here in the NQ, so I bet we could come right back into this extension again. If we come back down, well, I'd 38 trades and takes off, whatever. Same thing, you can adjust this with the ES. I'm going to move my stop up to 72s in ES. Do. I agree with that, Bobby. Tell Jeff I said hi, Katie, next time you talk to him. My brother lives out in Colorado. And 10 o'clock news is a bid. Is a bid. So, all right, I'm getting out. I think we're going to potentially come back into extensions again, and not interested in risking that gain in ES. Rather just re-limit here. I'm going to go NASDAQ 712s at the 50. Do a little bit of a front run there, and I'll do ES 38% at 81.5. Should be 81.75. CL with the breakout here. See if we can punch that up to 60.26s. Please get me done in an hour. I got so much I need to do today. I've been home in like 2 weeks. Here comes gold. You guys front running me? Not allowing my fill? 4 ticks away from a fill in gold. Still boosting in the indexes. Cancel these indexes orders. But guys, those I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to stick around and trade the second half of the day. But those same anchor new highs, you can continue to draw them and limit them because they are valid until they break. So yesterday's 235 high in both the ES and the Nasdaq, you can continue to. We ended up trading up to that basically 6,900. I was looking for in the ES. That is my upper kind of premium level I had for the day. So I would not take any new longs above this, but we can pull back into the extensions from that 235 anchor, and that would be something I'm interested in. I'm going to drop GC down to the 50 here at 64. I'm going to front run the 50 by 4 ticks. We front run this 38. I didn't get filled on a first test, so I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm afraid that there may be some stops if we come back down. Instead, I'm just going to drop her down to the 50 with a front run of the 50 of 4 ticks in GC. And here's that would-be GC level. Let's see if we can push down to the 50 here. There's that 6,900 in the NAT or the ES. Hey, come on, gold. Wrong button. All right, filled in gold. Move that stop up. Not looking. I'm just kind of looking for a bounce here in GC. That's stuck here. Dun, dun, dun. Move my stop up and see. I'll keep that tight. What's the unbelievable part about today? I feel like today's pretty technical, but maybe that's unbelievable. Sometimes it feels good. Sometimes it feels bad. Perfect entry there in gold. So the reason I front ran that is because the 38 was front run. So that made me think that we'd front run the 52. Still boosting in these indexes. I mean, we're above where my premium level is, but that doesn't mean I want to short it. Not without some type of pattern. Dun, 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 dun. Wow. Boosting. Nice clean breakout. out of CL. And then just took my CL off at that new high. Move my target down, my stop up here. For gold, take 8 points. But yeah, I would be careful with shorts until you see at least a swing high in the indexes, just because this breakout, this is one of those, like, we've been going sideways, really consolidating, and this is a breakout of that consolidation. We could maybe run all the way up to that negative 61 before rolling over. That is in the NASDAQ up at 25,000 above 950. Quite a bit of ways away. And it looks like we are going extension to extension. The 930 high to high is the setup right now. That is the aggressive setup. I don't think Holby has a home. He rents his home out. Doesn't go to it. Dude, come on, gold. And we're done, ladies and gentlemen. And we're done. I'm going to do a review on like potential scenarios. I think probably the best trade is in this my trade Sunday night is going to be that 235. It might trade in the afternoon session, but we're kind of on that runaway train where we start just going extensions to extensions, and like I kind of stopped wanting to like chase markets like that. Just not my style. This gold extension, just beautiful same anchor new high. We basically completed that CL target from this morning. I do think oil and gold, as long as these technicals hold, literally just trade the very clear series. The same anchor new high in gold and then traditionals in oil. So if we pull into that next traditional, this morning's low to high, it's a 59.89. You could set a limit and walk away from your computer. If we make a new high, you have to move that limit. And then I think every single one of these markets has a blind limit scenario, which is where you can literally just set the limits and not pay attention to the price action because we're so technical. And those anchors are once again 235 high to high, whatever that is, that's where your limit is. Same thing in the ES, the traditional in the CL, and the extension in gold. And that's going to be it for me here today. Hit my daily PT, and I have things to do. And it's Friday, so we're going to end on a good note. We're not going to chase after a bunch of W's off the open. Everybody have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday.